My brother shattered my award-winning vintage against the wall. He didn't know I'd already shattered his future. My brother shattered a vintage magnum of Cabernet against the limestone wall because I refused to hand over the keys to my winery. My father watched the red wine pool on the concrete and hissed, "You're destroying his future. Give him the venue or you're dead to us." I didn't scream. I didn't throw a punch. I unlocked my phone, opened the security app, and walked out the heavy oak doors. "Enjoy the silence," I said. "I'm Elias, 34. I spent a decade reviving a foreclosed vineyard that was nothing but dirt and rot. I slept in the fermentation room. I pruned vines until my hands bled. My brother, Julian, is 30. He calls himself a lifestyle entrepreneur. Translation: he spends my parents' retirement fund on lease cars and bottle service." Tuesday afternoon. The tasting room was closed for bottling. Julian barged in with an event planner. "We're taking the barrel room for Saturday," he announced, gesturing at my aging casks. "I need it for the Prestige Global launch." "No," I said, labeling a crate. "The room is climate controlled. Body heat ruins the vintage." Dad stepped in, wearing a suit he couldn't afford. "Don't be jealous, Elias. Julian has investors coming. He needs a premium backdrop. He needs a venue he can pay for," I countered. "My insurance doesn't cover his ego." Julian grabbed a magnum of the 2015 Reserve, my award winner. "It's family property," he screamed, hurling the bottle. Glass exploded. Wine sprayed the limestone. "You're an obstacle," Dad spat. "If you don't unlock the gates on Saturday, don't call me your father." I walked to my truck and sat in the driver's seat. I pulled up the live feed from the 4K cameras I installed last week. They thought those black domes were smoke detectors. I turned the volume up. That's when the real bombshell dropped. On the screen, Julian was kicking shards of glass. "He's going to lock us out," Julian whined. Dad adjusted his tie, looking at the keypad on the office door. "Not if we change the codes first," Dad said, his voice crystal clear through my truck speakers. I saw him type it in. 4-7-8-8. "What about the operating account?" Julian asked. "I need $5,000 for the caterer." Dad laughed, a cold, unfamiliar sound. "I swiped his checkbook from the desk while he was yelling at you. We'll forge the signature tonight. By the time he notices, the party is over and your investors will be signed." Heat climbed my neck and my vision blurred. They weren't just entitled. They were felons. "He won't press charges," Julian sneered on screen. "He's too soft. He craves our approval." I didn't drive away. I texted the video clip to the family group chat. Then I texted it to the county sheriff. Then I pressed the lockdown button on the app. On the screen, the magnetic locks on the tasting room doors engaged with a loud thud. The steel shutters descended over the windows. They were trapped inside the room they tried to steal. I watched Dad run to the door. He pushed. It didn't budge. Julian pulled out his phone. He saw the notification. He looked directly into the camera lens, face draining of color. I walked back to the glass doors. Dad was pounding on the glass. "Open this. This is kidnapping. It's a security protocol," I shouted through the glass. "Unauthorized entry detected. I have your checkbook." Dad yelled, waving it. "I'll tear it up." "Too late," I said. "The sheriff is 5 minutes out. And that video is already in the cloud." Julian was crying now. Real tears. "Elias, please. The investors are coming Saturday. I'll lose everything." "You lost it when you broke the bottle," I said. The squad car rolled up, lights flashing. The deputies watched the footage on my phone. They unlocked the doors. They escorted Dad and Julian out in handcuffs. "Attempted fraud and grand larceny. You're ruining the family." Dad screamed as they shoved him into the cruiser. "I'm pruning the rot," I said. The aftermath was efficient. I got a restraining order. I sued Julian for the broken wine, $5,000 plus damages. Dad is facing probation for the checkbook theft. My mother called me once, sobbing that I was heartless. "He was just trying to help your brother succeed," she pleaded. "He tried to rob me," I said. "That's not help. That's a crime." I hosted a private tasting that Saturday. The barrel room was quiet, cool, and perfect. I poured a glass of the 2015 Reserve for myself. It tasted like victory. Sometimes you have to lock the doors to find out who's trying to break in.